hello everyone. It's me, Starvox, back with another episode of the SPT show, the testing ground for Tarkov mods contained here within my 2060 here in SPT Aki, 3.6.1 of course. In this episode, we're going to be focusing on the SPT Realism Mod, which is something that I always have running. I pretty much don't ever not have it running, actually. In every episode of the SPT show so far, I've had this mod running in some capacity. There's so much to enable and disable. I don't always use all of the mod, and sometimes I find myself using a lot of the mod, but almost never do I find myself using the entire front to back of it, because it's a lot. There are some things that are changed for the much more complex, in my opinion, and we're going to go over all that in just a moment. As I cross this bridge here and move over to the next section of the map, I wanted to firstly just address all of the SPT mod devs, of course. SPT Realism is just so real that I'm parched in real life while I'm here in Tarkov. But anyways, I just wanted to say thank you to all the SPT mod devs. We very much appreciate all of your hard work. Wow, there's a lot of gunfire going on. Anyway, like I was trying to say, mods like this, the SPT Realism mod, are so large and so dense, and they've been in development for so long and often receive regular updates as things change, that it's clearly a lot of work that goes into it on the part of the developer, and we all thank you very much as SPT players, and even the devs I'm sure as well, are appreciative of one another in terms of the work that they do, because I'm sure it can be unrewarding in ways, but I encourage you to, if you enjoy the mods that they make, go and find them on the file base and donate to them if they have the option. There's someone nearby. I think he's right there, yep.
Go on without me, I'm done.
Wow, well, that happened the way that it did. So, part of the reason that it happened the way that it did is because of the changes to ballistics and medication and, well, health and injuries in the SPT Realism mod, and let's come in here and take a look at that real fast. F12 to open the BepInEx menu. And of course, while I do this, I'm being sure to keep my weapon at the low ready stance, which we're going to talk about, which has to do with arm stamina. And in fact, I'm going to go into the actual Tarkov settings, and always show the stamina and stance so that we can see that down there in the bottom left corner. And that'll come into play in just a moment. So, if you see here, first of all, this is the list of plugins that I have running right now. So in case there are any questions about that, here they are. Not all of them are fully in use at the moment, and some are very heavily configured to be very subtle, so I'm not getting I'm not getting all the benefits or all the functions of all these mods at the moment, just some, and I've got it set up to mostly focus on the Realism mod. And of course, the Realism mod itself has a very large entry in the BepInEx menu, which gets even larger if you activate advanced settings and reveal all the rest of the things that you can modify besides. But let's just start at the top, shall we? So firstly comes the experimental recoil, which is new to this updated version of Realism mod. It's basically a new system for recoil that the developer is working on, and it's still in the process of being worked on, so it's not completely finished, but I actually like it quite a bit. I think that the realistic nature of that recoil looks very good, it's very cinematic, and etc. So I have enabled it, and I haven't really changed many settings. In fact, I've kept almost all of the the dial settings that we're going to go over. I've kept them default for the purpose of this video, so no, there won't be too much confusion in regards to that. Next up, there's some miscellaneous settings. You can enable hold breath, which is disabled by default because the mod was built around not being able to hold your breath at all. And if you want to be able to do that while aiming, you're going to have to come in here and manually enable that once again. There are patches for NVG goggles and face shields that prevent you from using optics like scopes and things while they're on. So for example, if I were to have an optic on the top of this rifle with my night vision goggles on, I just wouldn't be able to aim like this. I wouldn't be able to aim down sight. It would in fact just default to the ready aim like this as a canted side. And then there is, let's see here, I actually don't know what this does. For buffer tubes that have multiple stock slots, oh, I see. Each slot will modify the ergo and recoil stats, of course, so enable stock slot stat modifiers. So if you have a stock that can be moved from one position to the next to make it longer or shorter, this will enable changes to the actual stats of the weapon that you're using that on. Next up, we have ballistic settings that are changed with the Realism mod. First up are the player can fall, bot can fall, and disarm functions. And these all come into play when getting shot in the leg or the arm, especially the calf or forearm. And there are specific, of course, parameters for that each time. It also depends on what kind of ammo you use, but it does become a possibility if you enable those things. If you shoot an NPC in the leg, there's a good chance that he might drop to the prone position almost as if he fell, and he will have to recover. He won't be able to run probably immediately after that, because I imagine he'll have blacked his leg, and he'll be moving very slowly and trying to heal himself. Disarming happens in ways that I'm sure you've seen in my videos before. If you should get a good shot on the arm or forearm and it depletes the HP, okay, so chance is modified by bullet kinetic energy and reduced if hit arm armor, and doubled if forearm is hit. Odds are, if you do actually manage to shoot an NPC in the arm with this enabled, they will indeed drop their rifle or their main weapon and switch over to a melee weapon or a secondary weapon if they have it. And then they're going to try to kill you with that, but most of the time they'll try to shuffle away and heal themselves because they'll be so badly damaged anyways. There is a ragdoll fix for that weird bug where if you shoot somebody, they immediately shoot up off the ground into the air and then land. That doesn't happen anymore, thank goodness. So I'm pretty sure that this right here actually changes the way that armor is shown in stats. So like if you were to look at it in your inventory, what it does is it changes away from showing the armor class as a number and uses just that armor classification instead. Inspect, and right here armor class is listed as NIJ4. So this enables hit sounds. These are additional sounds when hitting body zones in armor. You've probably heard them the entire time that you've been watching my show because I've had them running the entire time. I love them. It makes it very audible when you strike armor, when you strike flesh, or if there's like a headshot. It reports very well, and it's super immersive to like actually hear the shots take place, like the hits rather take place. It's very useful when firing through cover as well, so I keep that enabled all the time. So this right here increases penetration to the arm for rounds, which because I suppose they're assuming that you're not running around with much arm armor. There's no universal armor system anymore. The Realism mod and other mods besides make armor have hit zones and like armored zones that are much more specific than they are in the actual game. So if you get shot in the arm, realistically speaking, it would be much more devastating because it's unarmored or less protected, and so your character in game would take more damage in that way. This refers to what I was just talking about, the hit zones on armor for the player. You can enable or disable them. This would basically make it more difficult or easier, I suppose, to survive hits depending on what armor system you have. Oh boy, I can hear somebody running up just now. Hopefully they're just running by though, I think they are. Same for body hit zones and armor hit zones. You can disable these for the player or for NPCs, you know what I mean? So if you don't like the overhaul to the damage settings done by bullets and stuff like that, you can disable it. However, I think it does a great job in action. It looks so much more cinematic to actually like shoot an NPC and have them react instead of just turning immediately and shooting directly back at you, which is very simulatory, that's very video game-like, and actually not a very like interactive video game besides. I actually lament that characters don't have more animations contextually. Next up are the inherent settings for recoil already baked into the mod itself. This has less to do with the experimental recoil up top and just the base foundational stats available to you within. First up is the hip-fire recoil climb setting, which actually causes your character when firing from the hip to experience this sort of like jump in recoil during automatic fire. And oh, I didn't really have very many. It's the recoil is very manageable on this rifle right now, so it's a little difficult to demonstrate, but I have definitely shown it before. Basically, it's like a movie when firing from the hip with a high-powered automatic weapon. It'll just start flying all over the place. It goes up and becomes unmanageable after a moment. Next up is an option to reduce the camera recoil. If you were to disable this like it says right here in the tooltip, camera recoil becomes more intense as weapon recoil increases, so your camera starts shaking around super intensely the more recoil your rifle or your weapon is experiencing, and I feel like that's a little unrealistic. That makes it seem like the silly guy in the action movie firing the gun as opposed to the action hero firing the gun, you know what I mean? Oh. Here they are now. Have I finally been found? Is he like listening through the wall to see what I'm doing? That guy's like, oh my god, is that Starvox? Is he recording the SPT show right now? I gotta go see him. I'm sure that this fella's just a humongous fan. And you know what, I wouldn't dislike meeting fans, but I would prefer if my fans were not sprinting around in the dark, likely armed with an automatic weapon. I think he may have gone on. So let's carry on. These dials all adjust the fine properties of the recoil, and if you just read the tooltip, it'll describe exactly what those all do. I haven't changed any of them, so I don't really know what it's like to reduce or intensify them. I would just assume that it becomes easier or harder to shoot, because you've either reduced or increased the recoil. Next is a section for advanced recoil settings, and I mean it gets even more specific from here. Just check the tooltips and adjust those dials as you see fit. I'm not sure why you would. They're so good already. I suppose if you were like an expert in real life at firing these weapons and you were like, oh, this isn't realistic at all, I'm gonna change it to be more realistic, then that would be your prerogative, and I think that might be unique to you. So everybody else who just plays video games and doesn't shoot guns all day will probably just keep these all default like I do. Okay, next section is weapon settings. So this right here will enable an increased inaccuracy property. It basically increases the inaccuracy of all weapons, so that the actual management of that accuracy as a stat becomes more important, which of course you can work on with attachments and mastery, but this right here enables increased shotgun mastery. I'm not entirely sure why that's there. I think it's just to make shotguns more usable overall, because, especially when first starting out, being inexpert with shotguns is a very slow and grueling process, not terribly effective, especially when reloading shells in the heat of the moment. This right here is a malfunction durability threshold slider. Of course, if you reduce it, you're going to have you're going to have malfunctions more often than if it were to be at a higher value. This setting right here enables you to inspect or deal with a malfunction on your weapon without having to inspect it first. So you wouldn't have to hit the inspect key and then hit the clear chamber key. You could just hit the clear chamber key and your character will start doing the animation like it's Far Cry. This right here enables the malfunction changes stat entirely, so any changes that you want to make to the malfunctions, this has to be enabled if you want to use them. And of course this slider right here just changes the intensity of aim, sway, and inertia when moving around. This section is the health and med settings section, and it involves an overhaul to the medicine usage and the health management system. This is a tourniquet effect, and if you use a tourniquet, it'll drain the HP of a limb that it's applied to make that a little bit more realistic. It makes that limb more difficult to use. This setting right here will prevent your character from eating and drinking if you have like a face mask or a set of goggles on. And this right here will prevent you from healing if armor is blocking a part of your body that you actually have to use a medical kit or medical system in order to heal. This right here is a keybind that you can double press to immediately ditch your gear and just throw it off your body so that you can start healing. This setting introduces the adrenaline effect, which, of course, if the player is shot at, they will get a painkiller effect, as well as tunnel vision and tremors. The duration and strength of these effects are determined by the stress resistance skill that your character already has, and this will start to take effect if you take fire, if you get hit, or if you're near an explosion. Next up is movement settings. This setting right here will enable a ground material speed modifier, so that if you're walking on concrete, grass, metal, or glass, etc., it'll actually change your movement speed, which can be more realistic, I think. The next setting is a little bit rougher and is definitely more realistic, but I do not use it. This is a ground slope speed modifier, so if you're walking uphill, I think this actually stacks with the actual material that you're walking on too, but walking uphill becomes much more difficult and is much slower. I don't use this because I really need to move around in this video game quite a bit. The next section actually has to deal with audio and deafening, and so this introduces the mechanic of deafening for real in the game. If you are not wearing a protective headset with this enabled, you will certainly suffer. Your character will experience the deafening mechanic, which causes, I think, tunnel vision. Oh, I hear another set of footsteps. There are now two nearby. So you do have to come down here and manually enable it. I think it's actually enabled by default when you install the mod. You'd actually have to come in and disable it manually if you did not want to use it. But there is a system here for you to actually manage, fine-tune, the way that your headset works, and I'm pretty sure, because the default settings have been fine for me, I haven't changed these at all. I think this will depend on your audio setup as a player. So depending on what kind of headphones you're using, or if you're actually playing through like earbuds for some reason, or even speakers for some reason, you could use this to adjust your headset experience in-game to reduce, I suppose, like the ambient volume, to bring that down, and also to bring up gunshot volume if it was too low, you know what I mean? Next up is a section for weapon speed modifiers, and this is one of the only things that I've changed from default, a few of these things anyways. Most of the rest, like these right here, are all the same. I've gone in and brought aim speed multiplier all the way up, so that it's much it's much quicker for me to aim down sight than without it. Next up is a section for weapon speed modifiers. This is one of the only ones that I've actually gone in and changed the dials on. Most of these are still default. What I've done is increase the aim speed multiplier all the way so that I just have less time to get down sight, which is super preferable for me. You can change the reload speed, malfunction fix speed, all of these things right here. Basically, you're just going to reduce them or increase them depending on if you want them to be faster or slower. And this would be an easy way to break immersion, really. What I like to do is increase or decrease the amount of time, rather, that it takes to check a magazine, because magazine checks in-game can be very, very slow. I wanted to speed that up some. I've also increased, like, the actual quick reload animation just a little bit, so that's a little bit faster than it was before. So, for example, if I bring this up, the check ammunition animation plays very quickly. If I bring it down, it plays more slowly. It can be as extreme or as subtle as you want, really. Next up is probably my favorite section. It has to do with weapon stances and position. This is how you get the new different stances that I've been using. The ready aim, the high ready, the low ready, all that good stuff. And of course they become necessary because there's a mechanic in here for idle arm stamina draining when not using a stance. So you'll notice that if I just hold my rifle normally, the blue bar, which is arm stamina down there in the bottom left, will start to decrease. But if I go to a low ready, it'll recover almost instantly. How about we go see what that guy's up to over there? Running around non-stop. He's probably freaked out because he hears me talking in here and he's like, what is going on? Am I going crazy? Is there somebody in there recording a YouTube show of some kind? Gosh, I hope he doesn't come out and look for me with night vision optics and shoot me with a Golnik ammunition that immobilizes me before I get shot in the head, and that's exactly what happens. Cool, maybe things will be a little bit quieter now. Oh, yes. Just put that in the vest. Why does it go to the pocket first? Great, now somebody's inside the storage. I can see his light shining around. Man, that moon is so bright. What's it look like without the NVGs on? Pretty light, I suppose. Would I be able to see well enough to fight? He's moved into cover. Oh, he moved through. That was the one, that was the unit with the hole in the wall. Oh. Wow. He was not aware of me at all. So, you'll notice that a lot of the NPCs will not be wearing night vision gear unless you specifically tell them that they should. So you're going to want to use a, like a preset, for example, a donut preset, or some equipment modifications with the server value modifier to make sure that they can actually use night vision in raid, and they'll be able to see you better and put up more of a fight. For now, let me put this back on. Make sure my weapon's at a low ready so that I'm not draining my arm stamina. And we'll talk a little bit more about this section right here, which is the final section in the mod. The weapon stances and position. So firstly, this is what includes the new stances like high ready and low ready and stuff like that in the game. That's what I use. These are my keybinds to be able to do that. I haven't changed any of the weapon offset or position or anything like that. That's all still the same. I have enabled the idle arm stamina drain, which is why my arm stamina goes down when I'm just holding my rifle normally. I think it's disabled by default. You actually have to come in here and enable it deliberately in order to use it, because you can, it's easy for me anyways to forget that it's on, and then I just run out of arm stamina because I'm standing around or running around with my like rifle up and I'm like, oh, I should probably hold this lower. Anyways, this option right here introduces sprint aim penalties. So if you're trying to aim while sprinting, it's just not going to work out as well. There'll be much more sway, and it's not, oh yeah, the longer you sprint, the bigger the penalty. So not very advisable. This right here introduces a new animation, which is the high ready sprint animation, and I've shown this off before, but at a high ready, if I should sprint, my character will hold his rifle up and run around. And it actually introduces a speed buff. Yeah, look at me go. I run a little bit faster, and it's a bit more efficient on stamina when I run this way. This setting right here introduces an alternative pistol position and ADS for pistols. So, that's what that's like right here. And of course I can I can't remember if that's what mod that is that's actually making or installing the depth of field when I have my goggles on. I'm not sure if that's the ultra clear NVGs or not, or if it's the actual realism mod, and of course I could check, I suppose. So yeah, this is the adjusted stance. It's a little bit different, holding the pistol in the center as opposed to normally, and of course if I just come in here and untoggle it, yeah, so this is what it's normally like. The stances don't actually affect the pistol anyway, so I can't high ready, low ready, or active aim with this. If I go in and toggle that, I can see the new position. So that's really all it does. It feels a bit more natural in the hand, but it does take some getting used to. Definitely helpful to have like a light or a laser on the end of it so you know actually where you're shooting. This right here activates the ability to toggle active aim, instead of like setting a key and just holding it. I really like to have it on toggle. It seems much more logical to have it on toggle for me. This right here allows you to reload from active aim. I'm not sure why. Oh, it allows reload from magazine while in active aim with speed bonus. I got you. So reloading is actually a little bit quicker from active aim than without it. This right here enables stance and stamina movement effects. So as we can see, the high and low ready, short stocking, and pistol idle will regenerate stamina faster, and optionally, idle with rifles drain stamina. Wait, what? I'm not sure what that means exactly. Sometimes the wording in these tooltips isn't so great, but basically he's saying that the stances and the movement effects that are enabled here in this section, if you're actually using them, will affect your stamina and affect your speed. This right here will toggle on and off the laser automatically if you enter the high or low ready stances. I disabled that because it's kind of annoying to have that just click on and off automatically, and sometimes I still want it on. The problem is with lasers though, you've probably seen that lasers will go wonky. They'll kind of like, they won't aim properly, they're not going to be straight. They'll be at an angle at other stances, and that could be a good reason to also have them off by default, just because you don't want to deal with that. This right here introduces an icon on the screen for the bracing and mounting mechanic that was introduced in the second or third most recent update to this mod. Basically, bracing and mounting adds this mechanic of being able to, sort of in the context of your player in the game, hold your weapon against a surface so that you can get a bonus to recoil management and accuracy when it's active. And let's see if I can go over here and trigger real fast. There's an icon that'll pop up on the screen. There it is, you see that in the bottom right? That shows that I am currently, bracing, I think. And then if I were to hit the key for mounting from this position, let's see if I can do that right there. Oh, it went away. I'll aim down sight, and then wait for that to show up, and then hit V, and I am now mounted to this cover. You'll see that, I'm kind of stuck to it in this way, and if I aim over here, my character will move all kinds of ways to ensure that I don't unstick from this. However, if I just back up, I'll unmount. Just like that. And like with other video games that you may have experienced that in, it's just very stabilizing for your automatic fire or your sniping, for example, and can really end up compensate for not being able to hold your breath. So here are the keybinds, of course, and the parameters for the stances. I wouldn't change these unless you know what you're doing or unless you want to test things out, because there's not really, I don't think there's necessarily any benefit from changing that in a small or a large way. And you can use your own keys, of course, in any way that you choose to activate those stances. These are the ones that I like to use for now. Now, if I were to toggle advanced settings, there are even more settings for some of these fields, not all, but they're much more fine-tuning than the actual just base settings, and I'm not going to go over all of them because if you find yourself curious about wanting to change them, you will definitely find yourself in here messing with the dials and seeing what all they do. Honestly, I think it would take a very long time to see all the differences, and there's just so much to change, you know? I think really, if you were just to install the Realism mod and run it as it is, it would be plenty. There's so much to benefit from. It'll definitely change the game for you. It'll be great. I encourage you to try to make use of the injury mechanics and the medicine mechanics, the changes and overhauls that are in the mod, because being able to disarm a bot or throw them to the ground by shooting them in the leg is extremely valuable. It buys time, it's extremely immersive. All around a good thing. That's one of my favorite things about the mod in total. So now let's go get into a little bit of trouble. It's getting cloudy. How am I doing? Oh, pretty thirsty, actually. You know what time it is. It's time to be thirsty, but unable to drink, because I have my night vision goggles on. Oh wow, can you see the, I could see some flashing from gunfire over there. Oh, I can actually see him running around. Check that out. Anyway, it's time to drink water. If you're playing SPT, don't forget to drink water. It's important for your body health. Now, if you ask me about realism, I have this to say about it. In a video game, there are two kinds. There is the simulated hardcore nature of a realistic simulator, which is mechanic dense and uses deliberate stunting mechanics to make it difficult to do certain actions, and also introduces multiple parts to actions, the need to use different keys and to carry out operations in stages, as opposed to just having a character carry them out in total with a button press. And then there's cinematic realism, which, if you're like me, is preferred because cinematic realism is present in everything from video games to movies and television series, and written fiction. And I think that in the way that it's a bit more compelling and forgiving in small character ways, or even significant biological ways, is more engaging and also more fun, and can even provoke more conversation than truly realistic, earth-real, lifelike mechanics. I don't think any of us really wants to have to deal with real combat. If we were here actually in Tarkov, at least if I was actually here stuck in Tarkov, I wouldn't be so jubilant and so excited to show off how everything works out here. I'd probably be in a pretty bad state, and I would be feeling fear, and well, it just wouldn't be great. My health would be poor. The difficulty of moving around would be much greater, simply because life is the way that it is. And if that translated into my play experience, I wouldn't have as good a time even playing SPT, you know what I mean? Uh-oh. He was looking over here. I don't know if he can see me or not, but... Whoa! That was pretty close. Oh, is he gonna stop? I only have 10 left in this magazine, I better reload. So if you notice there, my reload was a little bit faster because I did so from active aim. There he is. He's aiming in this direction. He might have some inkling that I'm here. Oh my god, there's another one! That guy looked like he might have been kitted, but one shot in the stomach and he died tells me that he was pretty weak. However, I am using Igolnik ammo, which is armor piercing, and a ricochet pro ammunitions. A ricochet... oh my god. A ricochet prone ammunition. I think I'm getting some new AI spawns through donuts. Seeing a little bit of... oh, stuttering. There's a lot going on out here. The only reason I've been as fortunate as I have so far is because these other NPCs have not had night vision equipment to benefit from. And honestly, that alone is more realistic to me, and that doesn't have to be strictly through the Realism mod or anything like that. You can set that up with other mods, but to, like, show up in Tarkov as my character, like my player character, and find that all these guys are roving around here, like even the AI, and they're so ready for me to be there that they're just gonna immediately start shooting at me and stuff like that as soon as they see me. Especially if it's like really dark and, or through foliage or over cover or around cover or something like that. It's very immersion breaking. That's not realistic at all. The AI needs a little bit of contextual stunting, just like all biological people in a given area would have, so that their computer brain doesn't get triggered by signals quite so readily as it might if all the mechanics were just doing exactly what they were supposed to at all the time, or at all times. There need to be exceptions to tailor experiences and curate experiences in video games. Is he like right over to the left? If I peek out, am I gonna die? Oh, wow, okay. He was actually in cover behind that stack of tires, but I hit him once. Wow, look at that. For some reason, he came right to the door. And it was bad that he shined that flashlight at me. It was really hard to see him because of my night vision goggles, but it's possible that the shot that I landed on him gave him like tunnel vision and slowed him down a bit, and he just wasn't able to make a good decision. So for some reason, he came and put himself in front of my weapon. However, I suppose in-universe, maybe he was confident because he had a flashlight. Maybe he saw that I had night vision goggles on and he was going to use it to blind me. Ah. Now, that probably would be more effective if I wasn't using the ultra clear NVGs mod, which basically makes night vision and thermal vision perfect in this game. It's definitely possible to have that flash of light be burned into my vision, as it's happened before. For example, I think I was shot at close range by a guy with a shotgun, and the muzzle flash actually blinded me and had the big flare on the screen for several, like, dozen seconds. I think it was real bad. I just started sprinting and managed to get away. Naturally, the same effect would take place if I had my headset off and I started firing weapons randomly. Wow. These guys all managed to kill each other. Normally there's a lot of activity over here, but I suppose the activity was spent. What's that? Oh, I hear someone coughing, and there's definitely someone moving. Is he inside the building, maybe? Oh, there's a leg. There's so much devastation over here. Oh, why is the light shining from his destroyed leg? Gah, get out of the way. Oh, visceral ragdolls. Whoops. That was close. What do we got? What do we got? Anybody in here? Oh my god, he was right there. Oh shoot! I'm out! Sprint! Pistol! Whew, okay, he was very, very injured. He was moving slowly, oh god, and wasn't able to respond in time, which was very good for me. He must have been in, oh, a critical state. Wow! Look at the state of this place. Anyway, that guy was in a state. Probably because of whatever happened in here. He just wasn't combat effective anymore anyway. But good grief, he sure could have taken me out. That was very close. How am I doing? Well, I'm not exactly getting down to the limits of my ammunition just yet. However, pretty sure I hear footsteps now. And that heavily injured coughing guy is still out there somewhere. Oh! He's like right outside. I can't tell if he's downstairs or outside on the steps. It sounds like he might be right over there. No, I think he's below me. Let me get my arm stamina back. Yep, sure enough. Dude, why are you still alive? Whew. In combination with SAIN and looting bots and the expanded nav mesh, the SPT Realism Mod elevates the experience of combat in Tarkov so very much. Wow, there's still another injured person over here, so this was who I heard. Hope I have enough to deal with this guy. He's just outside. Whew, that was close. Oh, there's still someone else out there. This shotgun is loaded with slugs, armor-piercing slugs, so it should be good. There he is, right there. Nice, got him. I'm pretty sure it loaded the... Oh no, I put 2 breach shells in there. Well, now there are 2 slugs and 2 breach shells. I'm not really sure what that'll mean. Moving through Tarkov with all these mods active is such a different and more differently engaging experience than live Tarkov. And even near vanilla SPT. Oh god! Because this guy that I just shot, he ran in, he's now trying to figure out what to do with his life because he's injured, and he may not have the medical equipment to save himself. Now, realistically speaking, I would probably just do something like this, to soften up the area where he might be, before I even go over there. If he doesn't just move all the way away from me, because he's bleeding and is going to try to extract, he'll be hiding, perhaps trying to ambush me as I chase him, but I don't hear him. He may have just carried on. No need to cross that area. It's dangerous and I don't want to get hit. So we've gone over a lot of the features of the SPT Realism mod so far, but like I said, there's still that configuration tool in the actual mod folder that we haven't addressed yet. And unfortunately, for the safety and security of all involved, I won't be doing that today. As much as I love SPT and the ability to do this here on YouTube, I still want to be able to play Tarkov, and I definitely don't want to receive another copyright strike on my channel, so we're just going to play it chill for now. Just trust me when I say that it does indeed exist, and it has helpful, if not necessary, settings to go and address before you start a run-through in this game. Oh my god, my voice is so tired. Oh! Wow, here I was just about to lament about my sore throat and this guy points a flashlight at me. That was very, very close. Okay, let's go ahead and put those final 2 magazines into my rig there, just in case. Somebody's getting hit. Those are those bullet strike sounds I was talking about. Whoa, somebody's running up right now. Oh, did you see that? He went prone. If I shoot his arm... Oh no, I actually shot him in the thorax and he died. I was just trying to get him to drop his weapon. I was hoping I would have been able to demonstrate it here in this video, but fortunately I have before. It's a little bit dangerous to just put myself in front of guys with guns, so... You know how it is. Oh, another. Got him with a thorax kill in the doorway. The threshold did not save him, and he was between me and the extract too. An AKS. Just a bunch of bullets. Okay, seems clear now. Maybe I can safely make my way out of this place after all. Alright everybody, I think that'll do it for this episode on the SPT Realism Mod. There are so many things to go over, but man, it would take a really long time to go through each and every one of those very numerical settings, and trust me, if you're curious enough to try them out, it might be rewarding. You know, I mean, you could probably set it up to be exactly the way that you want, but the default settings, pretty good. They've always worked for me, and they'll probably work for you too. Let me know if you have any more questions about this mod, or if there's anything else you want to see demonstrated. I could always find some time to make another video, I'm sure. The order of my next 3 videos was already decided on the community tab of my channel. I asked you guys what you wanted to see videos about, and we're first going to address graphics and frame rate, and then I think it's going to go on to custom weapons and then quests, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Thanks for tuning into this episode in particular. Once again, thanks to all of the SPT mod developers, we appreciate you very much. Please don't go anywhere and let me know if any of us can help you with anything. And I'll see you next time on the SPT show.